Hi there, welcome to another episode of Messy Magic. I am your host, Nadee Guy, and I'm really excited to be with you today because this episode is the second in a series that I'm doing about embodiment and business, where they intersect and my experience of building my embodied business. And this season in my business is feeling really juicy and interesting, and I'm really excited to get deeper into this series. And in fact, at the end of this episode, I'm going to let you in on something that I'm playing with and a way to follow my journey on a more personal level, if that's something that you might be interested in. In last week's episode, I invited you to think and feel into what embodiment has to do with business. Embodiment is a word and a concept that seems to be getting a lot more airtime these days, and there are so many beautiful applications. So I covered why even consider embodiment and where it intersects with business. And I really recommend listening to that episode, and I'll link to it in the show notes. But in a nutshell, I talked about how embodiment is about your truth. It's about deeply knowing yourself. It helps you feel into your own resonance and the resonance of your clients and your work. And it can support magnetism. So for me, at its heart, embodiment is all about knowing yourself so deeply, having unshakable self-love and an ability to tap into what's true for you in any given situation. It's about accepting the imperfect, leaning into discomfort, and finding those gems of magic hidden amongst the mess. And it's about expressing your truth, getting intimate with your very aliveness, and finding more understanding, compassion, and love for yourself. It's a way of life that just continues to give. So today I'm taking a look at how we can take embodiment principles and practices and infuse them into our business to create businesses that feel beautiful to us and leave a gorgeous sparkle in the world, and I believe to be successful. So if you're curious about how to infuse some embodiment principles into your beautiful business, then you're in the right place. Let's get into it. So the first one I've got for you, the first kind of tip, I guess, is about making embodied decisions in your business. So if you're anything like me, you don't just want a business that makes money. Now, obviously, that's absolutely part of the picture because that's what business is and does. But it's only part of it for some of us. I want my business to feel good. I want it to feel good. I want it to represent my values and contribute to the kind of world that I want to see and that I want to live in, and the kind of world that I want my son to grow up in. So with this in mind, I want my decisions in my business to feel good. So when it comes to making a decision, like what kind of marketing I want to do or what offer feels good, I can tap into my inner wisdom and my inner knowing to make sure it aligns with how I want to feel and with how I want to walk out my truth through my business. So it's really about having that ability to slow down and listen to your inner knowing rather than kind of just forging ahead. Because I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to just forge ahead, to follow someone else's guidance or the steps that have been laid out And just move forward, make a decision, move forward. And, sometimes there's a lot of power in that. There's absolutely power in momentum. And I also believe that action brings clarity. Like it helps us figure out what is right for us when we take action. But I also really deeply believe in this practice of slowing down and going inward to tap into your inner truth, your inner knowing, your inner wisdom, to feel into whether a decision feels good for you. Secondly, I want to talk about honoring your body and taking rest when you need to. I think there's a really powerful part around honoring the humanness and the humanity of ourselves and our audience. Being embodied means that we honor the experience that we're having as living in a human body with biological needs, with emotions and senses, and all the beautiful things that come with being human. Tuning into this can also really help you connect on a deeper level with your audience, understanding that they're more than just numbers, which I know is not you. If you're listening to this podcast, you don't think your audience is just numbers, but this is about holding true to knowing about their individuality and having that kind of top of mind, and the fact that they have emotions and human bodies. And this idea of honoring your body is also about understanding your need for rest, and that you have seasons of higher and lower energy. So being embodied in business is about being the human that you are, and about turning towards that instead of kind of ignoring it or treating yourself like a machine. It's about turning towards your humanity and this physical body that you have and tapping into what you need, because I also really believe that there's power in slowing down and taking what you need in order to fill up your cup so that you can keep going. Because we all know it's possible to keep going to a point without nourishing yourself. But I think it's so much more powerful when you give yourself what you need to be able to be sustainable and to keep going. And if you have a menstrual cycle, it's also really powerful to understand your body's needs in that respect, and wherever possible, honor those needs in your approach to running your business. I have learned a lot over the past few years at the ripe old age of 43 about the menstrual cycle and the power that is in it for us who have one, to honor ourselves and the seasons and cycles that our body goes through, and to not work against it, but to work with it, to understand that your hormones are changing throughout your cycle and you're going to have different levels of energy. And instead of getting frustrated or angry at yourself or your body for going through those cycles, tuning into what's possible because of that. Because you're going to have times of the month that you feel like you need rest, or you need to go inward and be by yourself for a while. And you're going to have other times where you feel much more energetic, more social. And you can use those seasons of your cycle, those parts of life, to supercharge different parts of your business. I'm by no means an expert in this, and I do have a beautiful friend, Danielle Murnane, who has a program all around your cycle, and I will link to it in the show notes if you want to learn more about that. The third thing I want to talk about is tapping into this idea of what's going on underneath it all. So one of the life-changing things that I've experienced from deepening my embodiment practices and my awareness is a better understanding of myself and of what's going on underneath the surface for me. This is so applicable to business because as a business owner and leader, so much of your experience is personal. Do you show up on social media or not? And if so, how? Do you confidently sell your offers or not? Do you speak openly with clients about your offer or not? Are you procrastinating on something? Do you have a level of perfectionism? Do you need better boundaries with clients or with family to protect your business time? Who is your ideal client and do you align with them? Honestly, I could go on and on about this one because if you can understand what's going on underneath, you can recalibrate and realign your actions in such a powerful way. I was thinking about, what an example would be of this. And I think a really tangible one is pricing. So how do you feel about the price of your offer? Do you feel like a deep satisfaction and groundedness around it and just like true alignment? Or is it a bit shaky? Does something in you feel like it might be too much? And if that's the case, then why might that be? Maybe because you don't feel deeply worthy of charging that, or maybe you're not sure if your audience would pay it, or does it feel like it might be too low, your price, and perhaps you're undercharging because you're not confident to increase it? By using embodiment techniques and going inward to inquire within your body with curiosity, you can excavate the layers to see what's really underneath and realign your next steps or your price or how you position your price to be more deeply aligned and ultimately more powerful. Because always, when we think about something that doesn't feel quite right, there's something beneath the surface for us. There's something going on inside of ourselves that is just waiting for us to turn towards it and learn more. And I think it's just so powerful, having the ability to be able to do that. And I think in business, it is just an opportunity waiting to be explored. And lastly, I just want to touch briefly on resonance, because resonance is something that we talk about quite a bit in embodiment, and it's so personal and it's really nuanced. But what I want to talk about is your energy and how you show up, because these days so much of business for so many of us is about social media, or even just about showing up online as part of your marketing efforts. And how you show up online is affected by your energy, your belief, and your inner world. Because when you think about it, when you're like me right now, I guess as an example, when I'm talking and recording myself for a podcast, you get to tap into my resonance. You get to feel how I'm feeling. I'm sure you have a sense of my energy right now. And my energy is a reflection of my resonance. So embodiment can support you to know yourself better and ultimately to realign your resonance so that how you show up is a representation of your truest self. And then that allows your clients to see the real you and connect with the real you and have a relationship that's nourishing for everyone. And I know resonance is one of those ones that I found really tricky to wrap my head around. And again, it's a body-based thing. All of these concepts are about the body And most of us haven't been taught or shown or even encouraged to learn about the body and the kind of wisdom that our body holds without us even knowing about it. But once you start to tap into it, like new worlds just open up to you. So I hope that I know this is a relatively short episode, and I could probably go on about all the different ways that I think embodiment and business intersect, and the way that embodiment can support business. But just so going back over what I've covered, I talked about making embodied decisions and like using your kind of inner wisdom to make decisions that feel good to you. I talked about honoring your body as a human body, taking rest when you need to, and tapping into the power that you have as a human body, and honoring that when it comes to operating a business. I also talked about what's going on underneath it all, and I think this is a really powerful one that everyone can benefit from, like understanding why they behave a certain way, or what why they make a certain decision, like what's the reason behind that, and is there some realignment that we need to do. And then lastly, we just talked briefly about resonance and how your resonance affects how you show up and what your energy is and what people feel from you. So as I kind of briefly mentioned at the start of the episode, before you go, I want to let you in on a little something that I'm playing with. And thank you if you've listened all the way through to the end of the episode. This is your this is your reward, I guess. And I'd love to invite you to be a part of it. If you like a little bit more personal insight into how I'm creating my embodied business with my raw and honest experiences and challenges, then I'd love to invite you to join my private Telegram channel. This is something brand new that I'm playing with as of May 2024. So during my 20-year career, mostly in marketing, I've learned a lot of tactics and strategies, and I've supported some big brands as well with theirs. But what I'm realizing is that even though a lot of these techniques work, they don't necessarily feel good to me, and they don't always align with the kind of world that I want to create. Lots of these ways of doing marketing are masculine. They're centered around structure and process and logic, and they're based on the thinking mind, which is great and necessary and effective, honestly. But what I've realized is that in my body of work, I also want to infuse my marketing with the feminine, the idea of intuition, collaboration rather than competition, and that like unspoken magic that you can feel when you connect with a brand or a person. So I'm playing with how to do things differently, how to lean into ways of communicating and connecting that feel good in my body, whilst also drawing on the traditional things that I've learned and I'm still learning about what's effective in business. So this is super fun and interesting, but it's completely uncharted territory. So that's why I'm also not necessarily announcing every little thing in my public content, because it's a lot of experimentation and it can be quite personal. In saying that though, I'm really happy to share with anyone who wants to be a part of that kind of inner circle, I guess. So I will leave a link in the show notes to sign up. It will be, so you'll go to the link, you'll pop in your details, and then you'll receive the link to join my private Telegram channel. And that's where I'm going to be popping my personal insights, the challenges that I'm having, and the things that I'm learning and thinking along the way. And so it's really your chance to kind of get in at the ground level and watch this thing be built based on feminine principles, embodiment principles, but also the traditional marketing techniques and strategies that I've learned. And I'm still learning. I'm still investing in things and learning processes and strategies for business. And I would love to see you there. It'll be a really small group. Yeah. So thank you so much for being with me today. I'm so excited about this series. I just feel like it's kind of unfolding for me one step at a time. It's like this path that I'm following, and I just am loving it. I hope that you get that sense from me. I will be back with you again next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you feel like it, please feel free to leave a rating or a review on your podcast channel. I would love to see some more ratings and reviews and get feedback from people who are listening. So yeah, that's me for today. I'll be with you again next week, and have a magical day.